somebody. Hello.
Oh, okay, let's stop this. Hi. Okay. Hi, how are you? Have a seat. We're going to begin. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are now going to start our seminar, the Town Hall. We have with us today Lance Tarhan and Rafael Reyes from LoanDepot.
You see our banner, okay?
Yes. Okay. I'm going to invite some people in now. I'm sending out some invites to watch this with us. Okay. As I do that, we can just... I thank you for coming, sir. Whoop. I got a lot of people invited in, okay? And I will invite as we go along, okay? So, here, okay. I think I'm back, right? I'm not quite sure here where I am, but, okay. Okay, let's flip the phone. Okay, rotate the phone. Okay. Okay. I got here.
You should get Lance. Don't get me.
I'm going to get everybody. Okay. All right. Now, the purpose of this, I am not getting this right. Okay. The purpose of this is to make sure that people get a chance to ask the questions they want of mortgage brokers, right? So.
Well, my opinion is I spend an awful lot of time dispelling urban myths about mortgages.
Okay.
People will call me and they'll say, oh, my uncle told me to cancel all my credit cards. Mortgage lenders don't like credit card debt. Or even just having a credit card. I'll get people who will, they'll dig up money from their backyard and deposit into their bank account.
Mm-hmm.
And come to us and say, I want to buy a house and here's my money. And these are all things that people get bad advice on the street. You come across that?
1,000%.
Turn the camera. This one.
Okay.
He's going to get 2 bags of sweat.
Okay. Yeah. There you are. Now we are looking at our guests. Lance Tarhan to the left.
So were we not on a minute ago?
Oh yeah, we're still on, but they were seeing my face.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so you heard us. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So
Okay.
that's good.
So.
You get 2 bags of swag, by the way.
Okay. So, Lance, will you tell us something about yourself?
Well, I started in the mortgage business in April of 1993. I've worked for a series of mostly small to mid-size mortgage companies over my career. For 17 years, I was a manager up until about 5-6 years ago. I am now a mortgage loan officer with LoanDepot. I'm told I am extremely knowledgeable of the industry, and just today, someone from another bank said that, Lance, you've always been the people's loan officer. So I thought that was a really good one. I tell people all the time, you have a friend in the mortgage business. You may not know it, but you have a friend in the mortgage business.
Okay, so Rafael, what about you?
Yeah, I got in the business in August of 2006. 3 months later, the market crashed, and it's been fun ever since.
So you know everything about what the downside as well as the upside.
I know very little of the upside. I mean, guys were driving, Bentleys and Mercedes Benzes, and I was excited to get in the business. And then the market crashed, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I feel like the timing was perfect for me personally. I'm able to help a lot of people get into their first home for the most part. I run a branch in Astoria, Queens. It's probably, half hour, 40 minutes away from here. But I'm happy to assist in any way. I speak Spanish, which is a good pocket of my business. So
okay, that's very good.
Thank you.
So we have one guest here. Do you have any questions about mortgages? Anything you'd like to ask of these guys?
What's the best advice you can give me? First time home buyer, I'm learning.
Okay.
Trying to get everything straight. What's the best advice you could give me? Me being a first time home buyer, what should I look for? What should I watch out for? You know, be
You should
cautious
be-
of.
You should be thinking team. So your team would be your realtor, your attorney, and your mortgage loan officer. You should be thinking early. You want to do your due diligence early in terms of your qualifying so that you know exactly what price point is your sweet spot. In terms of shopping for a mortgage, you need to be comfortable with the person that you're working with, and it has to be someone who's willing to answer your questions, sometimes more than once. You need to understand what's going on with the process. So you got the loan guy, you got the realtor, who actually the realtor is the one who steers the ship. So that's the first person that you really want to get comfortable with. That would be Harriet.
Oh, thank you. I have something that I would like to ask. When you are shopping for a mortgage, right? Is it better to look for mortgage companies or mortgage banks?
I think it's your preference. I mean, you're gonna get a much more personalized level of service from a mortgage banker like Lance and myself. I always tell people that you're not just an application here, you're a human being. You know, I mean, our hours typically aren't your 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 when the bank is open. You know, you're obviously going to call us on our cell phone like
You
my
going
phone
at
just
9?
rang.
Why so
I
late?
actually work. Well, I mean, typically, the key here is we're available, obviously, hours beyond what your typical brick and mortar bank is available. Not only that, but for the most part, we offer better rates. And again, this is, you know, buying a house is a marathon, not a sprint. You know, most people think like, you know, you're going to get pre-approved, the next day you're going to find a house and you're going to close. But you know, it's definitely a process, and there's going to be a lot of, it's a roller coaster ride. And, you know, again, Lance, to hit on Lance's point there, I mean, the team is vital, and, you know, everyone's got to be working in your best interest. And, you know, the bank keeps it all together. Unlike, you know, I kind of disagree with Lance on that one. I think, you know, once you find a house, what you want to do is close, and that's what everybody wants. So at the end of
You
the day,
disagree with me about what?
about the realtor thing. I mean, I like bankers. I like realtors too.
Well,
But
I'm just saying that
I
for
think without the
him,
banker, you're not really.
he's going to spend the most time with Harriet.
Listen, Lance, I disagree, man. No, I'm just
No, I don't like
No,
that.
this is good. No, this is good because there's two points of views.
I'm just kidding.
The other thing is that I think that people would want to know about is rates. How are the rates now? What's going on with those
Well,
things?
I got to tell you, when I bought my home in 1991, my interest rate was 9.75, and I paid 2 percentage points. So my loan was like $135,000. So I paid $3,700 in points just to
How
get
old are
into
you,
the.
man?
I'm old, man.
Just kidding.
When the earth was cooling was when I went into the business. So the rates, the historical rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage for residential is 10%.
Mm-hmm.
The average age of your loan officer these days is 60. So things are not what they appear to be on face value. Right now, the rates are like in the mid to high 4s, depending on your credentials. There's nothing wrong with the interest rates. And I got to remind people all the time that you're buying the house, you're not buying the mortgage per se. Like they get all focused on the mortgage, and then, you know, but the house may not be big enough, or it may not have enough rooms, or that they just might miss something so obvious because they're so focused on the mortgage. So that's, and I really think the realtor does drive the boat because she knows the inventory in the area, she knows what's possible, and we're just establishing where the client is on the food chain. And the point that you may have missed, not that I disagree with you, the banks, like you go to a Chase or a Wells, and maybe I shouldn't even say their names, but they have their own product and that's it. Like if you're in a circumstance where your credit score may be low.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear.
Or if you don't have, or you don't have a lot of down payment, or you need someone to actually think your situation through and come up with a solution to what you're dealing with. You're not going to get that at the bank. The bank's about, you can Google the banks and you'll see that they're just about not necessarily closing, just taking applications basically. between Rafael and I, just about everything that we write closes. I mean, it's extremely rare that once we've structured something for somebody, it's not gonna work. Of
Well,
course.
if there are any questions on Facebook you'd like to add, please post them and we will answer them. Did you have another question, sir?
This being my first time, looking to purchase a home, paying for it, I'm not gonna lie, like you guys said, it's more of a marathon, a roller coaster ride. I'm learning, I'm preparing certain things with my credit. What advice can you give me? Not to be, so I won't be stressed out. Cause I got a couple of gray hairs I didn't see the other day. Just preparing.
You didn't see my beard, did you?
Nah. Just preparing myself. Sometimes, it can take a toll on you mentally. You can get discouraged. I know you got to push forward. And like you said, I'm agreeing with you now. I'm learning as I'm moving along.
Absolutely.
The team. You got to have a good team around you, supportive people, like you said, answering your questions, things of that sort. But how can I prepare personally?
Yeah, I think the best. I think time is your best friend when you're trying to buy a house, and you're not. What I would say, none of us here. I think I call them lucky sperms. Where you kind of roll out and you can buy a house the minute you go to college and you get your degree. You got a good job. You got the 20% down payment. So preparation is the key. I start really doing a very deep soul searching and understanding what you really want and what's important. Also understand what percentage of your income you want to dedicate towards housing, because, some people like to have a steak once a week. Other people can deal with tuna fish. You know what I mean? So these are things that you really want to evaluate before you even start to search. Look at your credit score, look at over the course of 2 years, you save a couple of IRS refunds and, you put $200 away every month. It could happen.
What I like to do, and what a lot of my realtors do, is when they get a buyer in, you do kind of like a checkup with me. I'll ask you a bunch of very personal questions and embarrass the bejesus out of you, but it's all good. It's all for a good cause. And I would situate you on what I call the real estate food chain, and I would tell you right at this moment, this is what you qualify for with your income and the money that you have in the bank. The area that you're looking to purchase in is very important because the whole thing about real estate is location, location, location. So I get plenty of people who want to buy, say, on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, but they have, Bed-Stuy or, old Bed-Stuy type of resources, the old, champagne taste on a beer budget sort of thing.
Yeah.
But if I can share with you information on where you are now and what it would take to get to where you would like to be. And even I've worked with clients 3, 4, 5 years, and they would check in with me periodically. I'm making more money now, or I got married and now I have a wife that is also earning, or it could be a husband as well. We are in the state of New York. It's all these things change as you go through time, like you were saying. One thing I like to add about what Rafael touched upon about time being your friend in this case, it's yes and no. I tell people, if you're ready to buy now, it's better to buy now, because whatever, like let's say you're on the fence and you're going to wait. That house you look at, this year at $350,000 could conceivably be $400,000 next year. And so what I say is, if you're ready and you got the resources, it's best to move now, because that person's higher sale price next year could be your equity. And so it's a balance. Everything is a balance. It's a balance with your income, like Ralph said, and it's a balance about how soon you're going to pull the trigger and finding the right place. And one thing that I'd like to touch upon at this, like to segue into something, in areas such as this neighborhood, there's a lot of property that have not been maintained diligently over the years, and the good news is we have programs that deal with that.
Very good. Yeah, that was another interesting thing.
So 203K, we have a very robust renovation loan department, I myself, back in the mid-90s, was the renovation guy for M&T Bank, M&T Mortgage.
Oh, I forgot that.
Remember
yeah,
that?
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was the go-to guy on that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I haven't, I might be a step slower and a day short, maybe a half a day short, but I still remember, I know how to do, I've been called the mortgage encyclopedia. And I get parking tickets.
So Rafael, what do you think is the biggest challenge for people now in the marketplace?
I think people are just kind of taken aback at the prices. I personally feel that the market responds to it's a simple when they see that the numbers are 800,000. They're like, wow, when am I gonna pay that off? And I think you can't really look at it that way. I think you got to look at it. How do you eat an elephant? I tell my daughters all the time because they get so overwhelmed. I say you eat it one bite at a time. So a mortgage consists of 360 payments. There's a very slim likelihood that you're gonna stay in this house for the rest of your life. But at the end of the day, I mean, you look at the rents that people are paying these days. As long as the rents continue to hold up, I think the market's going to continue to go higher. And as long as inventory stays low and demand stays where it's at, prices are going to continue to go up. So I think that that's the biggest challenge for the first-time buyer trying to break into the market right now.
Shock.
Yeah.
But the good news is, in this particular area, they give you credit for the rental income for the apartments that you'd be renting, which would embellish your income to qualify for more mortgage. % down. So there's a lot of options out there that people may not be aware of in terms of getting into something sooner rather than later. Now, not everybody is suited for an $800,000 purchase, but I don't believe that if you look at the statistics, the larger purchase prices are very like the 1%. It's the same thing. The very large purchases are done by very few people. We're more about at LoanDepot and our own business philosophies is we're the people's mortgage company, and we're here to help the American dream.
Okay. What about refinancing and stuff? Is this a good time for refinancing?
Depends on what you have now. I'll turn away 9 out of 10 people in a given week who's looking to refinance because it doesn't make sense. You have to analyze your reason for refinancing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to analyze what you have now. So if someone has a low mortgage rate now, the only reason that they would do a refinance is if they got to take equity out of the house. I mean, I've done cash out refinances. The most famous one in my career is the grandson was in jail and they needed the money for bond.
Got to refinance then.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask you about that I've been facing, there are a lot of reverse mortgages, and the people who die, the other their relatives and stuff want to keep it. How easy is that to move through to get that done?
I got a client right now who I'm doing that for. Do you want to take it?
I mean, a reverse mortgage could be a very important financial tool for a senior citizen. I mean, I think, again, it comes down to planning. You have to have an exit strategy clearly defined. You got to make sure that person who's going to refinance the property has the income, has the credit. I mean, the credit doesn't have to be perfect, but I mean, they should have the income. You got to really know what the guidelines are before you go into this reverse. And when you take out a reverse, they give you a whole amortization schedule on what you're going to owe. So, I mean, monitoring that schedule is really important because that's also going to tell you how much income you're going to need to refinance out of that mortgage.
That's interesting because
but the person who's refinancing is not the person who took out the mortgage.
No, exactly. It's not.
It's whoever
it's whoever who has inherited. I had a sale like that last year, so that's why I mentioned that because it was very difficult to figure out stuff. So if you do have some, I'm sure the people who are watching would be interested in that. So when we do another one, we could cover that.
Well, I can tell you that in the perfect world, before this individual, I mean, before they get the reverse mortgage, you have to decide what is do we want this to stay in the family, Are we just going to sell it? I mean, a lot of times the kids have moved out of the state, out of the city.
Mm-hmm.
They're not interested in the property. You get a reverse mortgage. Nature takes its course, and then the estate sells the property, pays off the mortgage, and the balance goes to the heirs.
Right.
I'm working on a case right now in Queens that there's a son and a daughter, and the gentleman passed away last September, and the daughter wants the house. The son is out of state, and he's not, and there was no will. So that goes to the planning part. That's the worst thing you can do, is not have a will. So clearly that was something that they didn't address. But we're going to refinance the property. We first have to go through probate and get the house into her name.
Exactly.
So that's the first thing that we're doing. Then I'm going to refinance the property. We're going to pay off the reverse mortgage. We're going to consolidate some of her debt. And her plan is to live there somewhere between 2 and 4 years.
Okay.
And it's going to give her time to decide, do I stay here? Do I sell it and go somewhere else? But it's all about planning. I totally agree with you. And most people will not plan. And that's
Another thing about a reverse that some people don't know or forget is that you can make payments on a reverse mortgage that keeps the balance at bay. Some people don't need to completely eliminate their mortgage. They just need some breathing room, $500, $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
So if you could make some payments, that also helps keep the balance down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And makes it a lot easier to
for
refinance in the future.
You know, that's a good idea for our realtors. I'm sure the realtors who are watching, when we go and we find that, we can, take that and let people know that, because I think a lot of people think that they cannot pay, and that's a problem.
That's something that I always advocate. The other thing that I also recommend with the reverse mortgage is there's 2 modules for it. One is a line of credit where you take money as you need it, and then, or you can get the cash where they give you. They do it in steps now. They don't do it all at once, but they'll give you cash, or they'll give you monthly payments.
Yeah.
And I like the line of credit idea better.
Yeah, because you don't spend it all up. Yeah.
And you're only, your balance is only increasing as you need it, as opposed to every month, without fail.
Right.
So everybody's situation is unique, and these are all things. Unfortunately, in our industry, there's a lot of people that are just out for the money, and they get somebody. I want a reverse mortgage, fine, boom. We're not a restaurant. You shouldn't be giving your mortgage person an order to fill. You should really have these discussions and with your team, your financial planner, your attorney, your estate attorney. These are all important people to bring into the picture.
Well, I don't see any questions from Facebook. Do you have any other questions, sir?
I got one.
Okay.
Because it's a little issue I'm having. I'll explain a little bit about myself.
Go ahead.
I used to work for the New York City Police Department. Did 11 years. Kind of got hectic. Didn't feel like, I got 2 boys. I gotta make it home.
Got it, bro. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Yes, I was waiting for him to finish.
Now I currently left there. Now I work on the train tracks in New York City Transit Authority. My pay changed, but in the long run, to catch up. Credit wise and financially, money wise, I have the money. It's gonna come. There's no doubt about that. But credit wise, looking to purchase a home, where should I be? I had credit issues in the past. I'm clearing that up. It's taking a little bit of time, but credit wise, any advice you can give me as far as credit wise? Where should I be? Where should I look? Not to have. I have a bad habit. Harriet knows I'm a motorcycle junkie.
Oh.
I'll go buy a motorcycle any day of the week. I have a few.
Are you buying them on credit or are you paying cash?
Well, the ones my girlfriend know about. What she don't know about, paid about cash. I've paid off. The 2 I financed. My car's paid off. I did at one point have a child support issue, but that's taken care of. That's fine. It's off my credit.
Are you still responsible for the payments?
Yeah, I'm still responsible for,
But they're up to date at this point.
everything's up to date. I had surgery. I was out of work for a little while. Back at work, I was behind. Got that caught up. Everything's up to date, on point. Stuff like my credits, like today I left. I was going to buy a cupcake because my credit score jumped 60 points.
Oh, wow. Good for
I'm
you.
going to Running Man.
Oh, man. So
like,
what you want to know is what that magic number is for the
Yes,
credit?
what's that magic
Yeah, what
number?
is it?
Well,
I'd like to know that
to
myself.
be in the game, 580.
580.
To be in the game, that gets you off the sidelines into the game.
I'm doing a 582 credit score right now.
Okay. Yeah.
You,
Right.
I'm in the late 600s now.
No, you're late 600. I mean, it's really funny. Like when everything collapsed, the median credit score that Fannie Mae identified as what we would be working with was 620. So anybody with 620 or better was like you're a normal person.
So how are you? You good?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, you're
good.
great.
Absolutely.
Now, in today's world, 675 is that's what they say the median credit score is. But we do we deal with credit scores down to 580, so it's not hopeless. I think you're doing great. I think you're addressing everything. The only thing that I would say to you, based on what you just told us, is at some point you're going to have to make choices. Like the motorcycles that you're paying cash for, those could be down payment.
Yeah.
The motorcycles that you're financing,
That's what I say. I told him already.
the ones that you're financing will affect how much mortgage you qualify for.
Yeah.
So at some point, and I'm not saying that that it has to be done right now, because again, it's a very personal thing. But if you were to check in with me or Ralphie here, and we would be able to tell you, this is what you would need to achieve to get to where you need to be. And then, Harriet would tell us, well, these are the type of price points we have in the neighborhood that we're looking for. I would probably recommend for you a 2-family, if it's possible. This way you have someone paying a good portion of your mortgage.
Yeah.
But yet it comes to choices. I had a gentleman once, he called me up, he says, I want to get a mortgage, I want to be pre-approved. I said, great, send me your documentation. We went through the whole document process. In that, I found that he had 2 vehicles and he was paying somewhere around $1,500 a month for these vehicles.
Oh, wow.
So, turns out one was for his wife, one was for him, but he's driving a very nice Range Rover at $800 plus a month. So I said, great, I ran your numbers. You qualify for $550,000 mortgage with this projected tax and insurance obligation. He says, $550,000. He says, but I want to buy something for $1 million. And I said, you could do that. It's not a problem. Just come up with $450,000 worth of down payment. Like, what's the big deal? So he goes, well, I have a great to drive a Range Rover.
Yeah.
If he was driving a BMW, let's say, and not slumming it, and for $400 a month, he'd be qualifying for more mortgage. So it's a lot about the choices that you make.
But I'm gonna be honest, Harriet gave me some great advice because she spoke to me and told me I need to get stuff straight. And honestly and truthfully, that was one of the things I explained to her, like I needed to get certain things straight. So I knew I had to get rid of those payments. I can't pay this and look at a mortgage and I'm juggling. That's not gonna happen. So currently that was one of my issues, and I got straight. Sticking with the 2 I had, they paid off. I was paying off everything. Just so honestly and truthfully, and I gotta say thank you.
You're welcome.
I started saving more money. I had the bad habit of running around. I was honestly, I have 2 boys. We was having fun. I was out of town.
What did I explain to you?
Yeah,
that you have 1 beer and put the rest of the stuff down, and then you'll have some money, and then you'll have a steak next month, and you'll save that money. Did I not say that? And that's what I'm going to say to all of you on Facebook. If you have any questions, please do send them to me, because we will be meeting with Rafael and Lance again, and they can answer your questions. And so we're going to finish up tonight, and thank you for listening. Good night.